I'm still thinking that somehow there's the idea of if we do this for an audience, what is there for them to listen to? Because it's a concert. Anyway, we're musicians.
They could experience something.
So what is there for them to listen to? What is there for them to look at? How much do we want them to be, an audience that is not participating? How much of them how much do we want to share with them? Or to use them, or to, make them part of the creative work we're doing? And I have the feeling that we are probably much more familiar with the idea of making something for people to listen to, and without, getting. So I think we have more of an expertise into it. And when it comes to a moment where, so I'm a singer when I improvise with my voice and I make a sound, but when I have to get to someone to share something or to be inspired with someone, then I become just like me. I'm just a human. I'm not a singer anymore, and I'm probably much less of an expert at it. Well, that sounds funny, but as a singer, I have a certain experience that I recognize myself into. As when we did last time, I don't think I have any. You could take pretty much anyone, and you would get. You would be able to get the same thing. But there's something into it that it will sound really tacky the way I put it, but I like the idea that sometimes in a concert, we're all at the same level, we're all the same, and I'm not the expert and people in the audience are receiving from me. We're sharing and we're all the same. I'm not better than they are. I really like, I think I said that before, but I really like, oh yeah, that was in your presentation. The idea that, people sometimes walk into a museum and they see a painting, and their first reaction is, hey, I could do something like that. It's like, of course you could. Of course you could. You can come up on stage and improvise with us. That's something that we're no special people, it's just a situation that makes us being the performers. So, and this is a little bit, it brings you back to the Gigi experience, performance from the very beginning. When David is sharing the Gigi with other people, he's all the same, he's not an expert into Gigi. Well, you knew him. But, it's, at some point we're all the same. Nous sommes tous égaux devant Gigi. No, but it sounds tacky like that, but I like this, that we're all the same.
Take it or leave it, but what if we sat in chairs, so we as musicians are fixed in a big circle or semicircle with the enclung.
ANGKLUNG, if that helps anyone.
It's a U and enclung.
The enclung in front of us, and that the audience is the only one that can improvise with the enclung, and we simply respond to that stimulus. It could be their emotion, could be their hair, like you say with Angelique thing. It could be their energy, but we're making the sound in a concentrated sound way, and they're stimulating the improvisation from the instrument. Anyways, it could be rejected, but it could go from there.
For that to happen, they would not have. We shouldn't make them climb the stairs, so they should be on stage with us, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, somebody has to climb the stairs to activate the instrument.
Yeah.
If they are all on stage, which the numbers we expect are what? 30, 20?
I don't know. People don't come to concerts very much.
In the black box there is no stage, so that's...
In the black box there's no stage, it could be done in the black box, yes.
And I like the idea that somehow the audience has to make a choice, whether it's just where am I going in this room or where do I stand. This choice can already be quite very inspiring as a starting point. Are they clugging together? Are they talking to each other, or are they waiting, or are they moving around, or just you know, it's, in a way, if you invite people to come to a concert or a show and you don't give them seats and you don't give them instructions, and they have to kind of make themselves do something, this can be, you know, it can be very surprising, and there's something very theatrical in a way, very, you know, it establishes a relationship between them and us that can be quite strong, you know. It's
I like the idea to have someone from outside coming, probably a little shy at the beginning, or, you know, and we try to get in touch with her or him, depending, and it could be very interesting, but not for the whole thing.
Yeah, no.
We have to decide when is the good moment to do that, to bring it to the audience. I don't know how, but it could be a very strong point of the performance if we success in making it very efficient. If the audience understand that, oh, okay, now I think I could just try something. It's for me, it's done. It's one.
I feel like a lot of times when that is possible, people don't engage with it just because they're scared, or it's like
Yeah.
a weird social, like that's not what you would expect. And so much about what I liked about your first presentation was the idea of invitation, and that it was still a choice that we chose to engage with you. But I mean, kind of why wouldn't you? Like what would be the disadvantage, you know? And that kind of extension, the welcoming of someone into a space like this, into a space that they normally don't inhabit, I think it really plays into what we've been talking about this whole time. And so, like, maybe if like you said, if that was the idea for them to generate the first sounds, but then it would take an invitation, like for someone to lead them there, and they can choose to not engage with it if they want. Like, you can be led there and then take your seat back again. But like, as to take one of us and make that person like a vehicle almost, an inviter, really, I think would kind of at least make that process more interesting for those people, and also give them more of a reason to engage, because the people who really are raring to go and get up and participate in a performance are usually not the people that you want to do that.
Yeah.
What about if how many are there? How many things are there?
But it has to be on the thing, though.
No, but
It
no,
doesn't. It doesn't.
No, you can carry them around.
Well, there's that loose
So
one.
if we ask them to make the instrument, if we everybody at the entrance gets one of those, and they get an instruction by the usher that says, "Would you please?"
It was 42.
42. So that's about our audience. And the stand is on stage or is in the center, and then you get this, and you get an instruction that says, make sounds with it, find out how to make sounds with it for a while, and when you feel you're done, put it on the stand. And in principle, they could put it whatever. I mean, now it's ordered in scales, but we don't play scales, so
Right.
it doesn't really matter how they are hung.
If the big ones end up on the top, it probably they won't fit.
Yeah, but you could stand alongside
Yeah,
them.
right, right.
just
As
like
long as
that.
someone's helping.
Yeah. And I don't know. That might be an interesting beginning of a performance, where you
Because then it's everyone.
you don't have
It's
to
unified.
invite them, you know, in this act of invitation, but in order to not participate, they have to do something.
Right.
If they hang on to this, they must somehow deal with it.
Right.
And so in that case, in that sense, they can come very quickly and just hang it and then be free. But maybe they like it, having this thing in their hand and then making some sounds with it, and then hearing that the musicians react to that sound.
Right.
That there's a connection,
And
that
that-
a connection's being formed.
that could actually be a semi-useful role for me, is to facilitate that in some way, to be an
Mhm.
encourager of the placing or the putting
Yeah.
together. I do think that when we were putting it together last time, it was so engaging, and it led into something.
It's actually something it's, anyway, it wasn't the last time, but before that, we're in these rehearsals, we do a little music, little improvisation, we do a lot of talking. And somehow when you get to a performance, that's a moment where people don't talk. It's always very, as if it was a ceremony or something, and people don't talk. And from that not talking, no communication, you're supposed to know, you're supposed to pretend you're not there, or something like that. And it's funny how I thought, because I was thinking, but it was when we were working with Angélique, so much talking, so little music. Will this performance be reflective of what we did, which means a lot of talking and little music? Or will we be like silent and the audience coming in and people getting their little instrument? And how a concert, you go to the MSO, the musicians are on stage, and concerts, no one says a word. It's all very silent. You're not supposed to talk to each other, you're not supposed to, and all we do, well, not all we do, but most part of what we do is talking. So I think if there are people coming and they want to know what it is about and all that, I think they should be allowed to talk and to talk among themselves and to talk to us. And I don't think we should play the game that we're not talking to each other. That would be, that wouldn't work.
Yes, it could be really nice, but it should be organized in a way to make sure we.
But
we can
if, for example,
attract it.
people are getting an instrument like that, they should know first what it is.
Yeah.
And puis on pourrait leur dire, là, il faut jouer avec, puis regardez si vous le jouez, someone plays something, it's like, mais si vous aimez mieux, vous pouvez regarder. Ou tu sais, mais j'ai l'impression qu'il va falloir qu'on parle au monde. On peut pas juste guess what's happening.
Ouais.
Yeah.
Each person can
It's
have
no magic.
2 or 3 on their arm, each of us, and the audience can be just directed to go get one. And then, hey, you can do what you want, you can put it there, it's just instruments from Indonesia.
C'est ça.
And
Yeah, and it makes a pitch.
We could have also people who know that will do that.
Yeah. To have insiders.
It could, yes. It is.
There's a really nice, I forget the artist, installational artist basically, who constructs situations in which you never quite know who the audience is or who the performers are, but at a certain moment you see someone do something, and it's the instruction basically for the next person to do something. So someone's coming out and they're doing a certain number of behaviors, and you walk in, you don't know what to do, but then you remember, there was that person I saw doing a certain number of behaviors, and you do those behaviors as you're walking out, and you're teaching the next person who's going in. And if you can déclenche that, if you can make it happen the first time, then the audience teaches each other how to do it. But you do need to have that déclenche out, something that will help it be triggered. But it's a very effective way of inviting without the artist saying, now come up here and do this. And
Here are the answers.
Yeah, follow them.
I don't know if this is something that we should do or not, but something I wrote down after the last improv was I felt like I was always leaving with something, or like I had something from your sessions where you would offer us food or something like that, and like the idea of like the traces of things, like the remnants of what we have, if there is a remnant of this performance, like what is it? And I think that is maybe more on my instrument than anyone else's, but is something destroyed? Are there remains of something? Is that is there a trace that people can take home with them and keep? Maybe I just like things like that, but I think that kind of object significance. I've been reading those books recently, and there's so much about that, those kinds of remains in the world, and I don't know, it seems to really play into something here, and I don't quite know how to articulate that yet. But I mean, and maybe it's not food even. Like I don't think it necessarily has to be, but the just being able to have something and say, oh, that was from whatever that was, you know, and to have people recall that experience and, you know, maybe half them throw it away or whatever. But I thought that was an idea. For some reason, that just popped out to me right after that particular improv. Wrote it down and forgot until right now. But,
Yeah, well, and residue was one of our themes
Right,
from
yeah.
a while ago that sort of disappeared in the last performance, but there was, or in the past rehearsal, but it is a significant thing that I think a lot of us were wrestling with. It also does, as you go away, so that, you know, you come together for the moment of the performance, and there's a kind of collective ritual that's taking place, or ceremony, however you frame it, and and then to go away from that, the residue is the tactile reminder that there was a collective transformation that happened in that one.
Right. I saw there's a percussion solo that was written, I think, 3 years ago, where the whole audience is given two stones at the beginning, and they're just told, you know, at some point you'll be asked to activate the stones, and the performer kind of explains it before they start, but they're playing, and then there's like just this kind of audience gesture where everyone is just asked to play the stones, and it's just you and like kind of a sweeping motion, but it's very effective. It's really interesting, and that's not something I had heard certainly before, and I like that a lot, and I have some stones, but yeah.
Something that you know, when before we met you the first time, before we came to your house, I thought food artist. And when I've read your papers and everything, watched a few things, but I thought about music and food a lot. And I don't know, you probably all know the first Viennese vegetable orchestra. You heard of it?
What orchestra?
The first Viennese vegetable orchestra. And do you know it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and what I liked about it is just that they make the instruments the same day, and all the carvings that they need to carve out each instrument from a vegetable, and all this matter gets boiled into a soup, which then everybody eats at the end. Not of course the instruments they're playing on, but all the things that were carved out, and which makes for interesting looking dumplings to pieces of vegetable in your soup. And so I thought if there was something that we could also do, because we're, you know, it's about consuming the thing that you like a little bit. If there were something in a similar spirit that we or the audience could consume in some way, wrap our bodies around, so to speak, and then take home. That would result from the music making. I haven't figured out what that could be, but I just wanted to throw it into the room. And I like the idea of leaving with something. Thanks. Did I tell you about my fortune cookie piece?
No.
No. In 2000, I think I made this for a museum. Everybody who went in got a bag with all kinds of things in it, among them a fortune cookie. And at some point in the piece, they were asked to open the fortune cookie and eat it, of course, if they wanted. It was a real fortune cookie, but inside, they were specially made, and inside were notes and musical instructions. And there were big posters on the wall with empty spaces where you could paste stuff in. And so you could paste in your musical instructions. They were color-coded for, you know, dynamics, pitches, and so on. You could sort of put your red instruction onto the red spot there. And that resulted in a score which was then played. And everybody had eaten the cookie. And it was quite it was part of a larger evening in which, you know, this whole process of opening the cookie, pasting, would take half an hour for the whole audience. But because something else was going on at the same time, and you could just do that at your own time until certain, I think at 10 o'clock, we will look at the score, and whatever is on the score then will be played. So people took their time and went there and put things there. And it felt like a really, and the feedback I got from many people was that it felt really like a wonderful way. They didn't know what they were creating. Most of them couldn't read music, of course. But they knew that their actions had created it. And the musicians were really instructed not to improvise about the score, but to play exactly what was on the score. So it was a tightly notated score. And it was kind of an interesting experience to have this. And they got sand from a sand installation that was also used to make a score. And they got the sand in at the end, so they got the sand home of the musical score. So maybe we could do something like this too as a consumable. And I'm seeing bottles being
Consumable,
opened.
really? What? I can't imagine why you started that, but it's okay.